Hey everyone, thanks for joining me. I have 6 new journals here that I want to show you real quick, and I think I've figured out how to timestamp so that you can go to the one that you're interested in where you don't have to be bored and watch them all. And at the very end, I will show you why this one's not sellable, and I'm really sad about that because I really liked this one, but we'll save that one for last. The first two that I want to show you are the junk mail envelope, grungy journals. This one's tea-dyed, this one is not. I did use distress ink on it to give it the grungy look, but it actually is not a tea-dyed envelope. It says, live, love, laugh, and be happy. I've stamped some flowers in here and used watercolor pencils to make those very blue. Done some stamping, put some vintage book page, and then, tore it off to give it the even more distressed look. I've used some of the distress tape that I actually used a greenish color and some browns, just messing around with the colors to get something different other than just the normal brown. The little stamping has this beautiful blue that matches the flowers ribbon. Each of these two have 14 pages, and this time there are pockets on the inside, and I did put a couple pieces of ephemera with each of them. The pages on the front are tea-dyed, really cool colors. I didn't do a lot with the pockets because, again, I want them to very obviously be junk mail envelopes. So in the front of each is just a couple of pieces of ephemera. I got vellum, and all of the tabs are just grungy. They're either stapled on. I actually did sew this one, but I think that's the only one. And they're just meant to look very rugged, rustic. I don't think rustic. And, just like the other ones. So, have the tea-dyed vellum, some tea-dyed scrapbook paper. This is Rit paper. It is a greenish, kind of mossy color. Little tabs. This is from a paint sampler that I did not steal from the paint store. I actually bought a big sample pack at a secondhand shop for like $2. Anyway, packing paper, little grungy tab there, or scrappy tab. This is Rit dyed, it's very pretty blue. Music paper. This is Rit dye. Nope, this is tea dye, I'm sorry. Tea dye paper. Graph paper, with little sticker there. This is Rit dye, and it's kind of an orange color. Tea dye paper. This is tea dye scrapbook paper, and it has a little cluster on it with and it will pop off. It's one of the snap things, and I didn't glue this one on, so it will pop off, and you can move it if you like. This is, again, my terrible try at eco dyeing, whatever you say. Little ruffle there. Some tea-dye dot paper, tea-dye coloring book, and a little cluster with a brad. More tea-dye dot paper. There's a couple little bags in the center here, just in case, again, like before, these journals are, my intent was they were just writing journals. So I just put a couple bags in case, you have something like to store. There are ribbon inside of each. I do this. I feel like I'm repeating myself, but a lot of people probably don't know why I put the ribbon. I feel like as tight as I get my seam binding, or when I do my pamphlet stitch, my binding, I don't want it to tear a hole, and I'm really like this to be tight. So I feel like this ribbon helps it keep it sturdy and not pull through. So I have more tea-dye dot paper, little scrap cluster with some muslin, color book page that's been tea-dyed, dot paper, little sari silk, more eco-dyed. This one has a little brad. It kind of looks like a little memo pad maybe, and it had a hole in the top, so I run through some eyelash trim. More tea dyed. This is the other side of that orange Rit dye. And graph paper, tea dye, music paper, scrapbook paper. I love the sound. Packing paper. Love the sound of that. This is the greenish Rit dye with a little bit of chiffon ribbon. Scrapbook paper, vellum. Sorry if you don't like sound, because I love that sound. Little cluster here that's on with the brad. And the ephemera in the back is a guest check. And in the front are just two little writing spots. I put lace trim on each edge of this one. It is backed with adhesive scrapbook paper to give it a little sturdiness. And it has a little paper clip with muslin that's been stamped for the top. And again, that's the back of that one. And I have just threaded the sari silk through the seam binding. I didn't put a knot. It's kind of like a half knot. It can be easily removed. I just twist it around, and I did leave strings. And again, like I say, these are grungy. The other one is not a stamp in the window, but it is a tea-dye envelope. The inside of this envelope is a die cut that I also did watercolor pencils on. It says blessed and grateful, and I've done a little cluster here, a lot of crazy sewing. And this binding, this closure is really too long, but I loved the colors and I thought they all went together so well. I didn't want to cut it short, so I left it. Again, there's the pockets on the inside, the tea dye, a couple of pieces of ephemera. This one I reinforced with the green distress tape, green and brown. This one I reinforced with the tea-dyed paper that I had sewn, so it's reinforced with that. Okay, so the beginning of this one is, again, vellum. Has a little cluster that's on with a brad. Scrapbook paper, the Rit dye that's a green tea dye. This little cluster is on, has a little brad that's a bird. On color book paper, scrapbook paper, a little bit of ribbon, packing paper. This Rit dye is a yellow, has a little bit of orange tint too because I stacked them. Little paint sample that I did some hole punching, and eco paper, scrapbook paper with the little muslin tab. And this tab actually has print on it. This is more Rit dye that's kind of a greenish blue, really pretty watermarks. This piece is used coffee filter, wallpaper. This is kind of the corrugated packing paper, tea dyed, the two little bags, ribbon in the center, another brad that can be moved, little brad. Another one of the snap-on clusters. Ribbon. Another little of the memo brads with some eyelash trim. Another scrappy cluster. This one has fabric and paper. Here's the guest check. And this one also has adhesive scrapbook paper, and then just a little paper clip. And the distress tape on this one is kind of a pink and browns. The little stamping. And real quick, I wanted to add on these grungy junk mail envelopes. The only thing I have a tutorial on how to make your own, and the only thing I did different on these, instead of cutting, because these scrapbook papers in the back, these are 4x6, so they weren't quite as long, and I cut them on the other, in the tutorial where the paper ended. Well, instead of doing that this time, I just flipped it up, used the whole entire envelope, and made the pockets. And then, of course, on the other one, I didn't have any ephemera. That's the only difference. But more of what the thinking behind these and the uses for them are in the other tutorial if you're interested in that. Blue journal, and it has a sari silk enclosure. And I know that it's really too long, but it's so pretty, and I felt like it really went with this journal. And I have kind of the gold, rose gold seam binding that matched, and this is actually 2 pieces that are sewn together. So if you really thought it was too long or didn't like it, you could always take that out. But it's just double looped around and did a bow. The front cover is, well, I'm not sure, I can't remember. Isn't this terrible? Let me tell you about these journals. I started these journals over a year ago probably, and I made all the covers, put all the papers in. I didn't cut them down or anything. I just put the papers in that I thought I was going to use. And I guess I got sidetracked and never finished them. So my goal before starting any more for 2024 was to finish all of these journals. So it was a little bit odd for me to try and make something. So this is, I think, packaging, and it's just a cluster. It's got some gold mesh. This is a little digital piece. The charm says every journey starts with one step, and I've made a double loop there. Has a really pretty tassel on the side that has homemade paper beads, different color beads, different color fibers in this, and it is removable. Inside is vellum pocket that have been embossed like the ocean, and I've kind of went over it with white distress ink on the waves. Sorry, my sari silk is getting in the way. Has a little tag this book belongs to, and a note from the bookmaker. First sheet is vellum. Oh, love this. It is tea-dyed vellum, and it has different colors in it. I don't know how I did this. I'm sure I don't know, but I loved it. I think it's beautiful. It'll have a little charm too, crafted by Christy. I meant to put these on all of them, but I lost them for a while, found them, and I don't really have enough. So the ones that I don't put one on will get one. Not that that's a make or break deal, but know that all of them will have a little charm that you can move or throw away or whatever you want to do with it. So the first sheet is vellum, the tea-dyed and different colors, and this one probably not showing up very good, but there's some orange and yellow. This is a digital, and these were kind of like ocean seaside papers, tea-dyed paper with some of the distress tape, or digital with some fuzzy trim and ribbon. This is actually 2 different things, some fuzzy eyelash kind of trim and ribbon. This is kind of a mint green, little flower. This paper is tea dyed. It's a tea dyed digital. The digital, for whatever reason, I didn't use it. It didn't print right. So I tea dyed it, and the colors kind of bled together, and I thought turned out really pretty. It's kind of got, I don't know, turquoise, pinky colors in there. Sewing around the edges. Got chiffon ruffle with some of the muslin ruffle that has words on it. More tea dyed. This is a digital kind of it's a map. Europe, it says. This is some of the Mamagami. I love this stuff. Mamagami paper. It's made from paper bag, like a lunch bag. And I distressed it. And this was some I had left over. And I just sewed it on the edge. More tea dyed. Little seashell here. Starfish. This is a digital too. And I did some stenciling with starfish and coral. Little writing spot. This is Rit dye paper. And it is kind of a bluish green. Very pretty watermarks on it. I'm describing them to you because I know my camera doesn't pick up the colors very well. And this is a paper clip with some eyelash trim. Got tea dyed, and I've sewn on an extra little writing spot there. That's a digital. This isn't actually, I didn't dye this one. More of the chiffon silk, and I stenciled bubbles on the inside, different colors of blue. More tea dyed paper. Some lined notebook paper that I used the Rit dye on. Then put a little bit of seam binding. Wove that in through the holes of the notebook paper. Weaved it in through the holes of the notebook paper. Have some tags and journaling spots here. This has more whales on it. And all the colors in this one really coordinate well. I don't think I did that intentionally, but they are very pretty blues. Another stingray. Some sewing. Did some stenciling here of a lighthouse. More tea dyed with lace on the edge. This is the corrugated packing paper. If you're a sound person, it's really, really neat. This is a gatefold. Got a kind of a bookmark here. Writing spots, some stamps. Tag that has a sailboat. Little white fence like you would see next to the ocean. I love that. Some writing spots. Another tag with some sari silk. It's got some jellyfish on this one. And I stenciled some sea turtles. And I forgot to put something in that pocket. I will do that. And you could actually tuck something in here on that side. And this is, both of these pieces are tea dyed scrapbook. They have little clusters on them. That this one's glued on, and that's actually a button. This one's a brad, so it could be moved. And then the middle opens up for lots of writing space. The ribbon says, "Meet me by the sea." I'm sewed all around this one. But I thought that was kind of a neat thing. It just tucks into the slot. So you have pockets on each side. And like I say, I could tuck something in back here. I will tuck something into this pocket. And there's another one on this side. I guess I just completely forgot to do that. More tea turtles and some bubbles. Other jellyfish. More of the chiffon with some Rit dye paper sewn on that. Some tickets. Tags. This one's been splatter painted. Has some fuzzy topper on it. This is a laminated bookmark with some sari silk. fabric cluster, and this also has some used coffee filter in it, tea-dyed paper, little edging there. This is tea-dyed paper I kind of cut like a file folder or index card, if you will, and sewn around it. This one has octopi, however you say it, octopus on it. Little stamped piece just for writing. It's tea-dyed. It says field labels, some palm trees, little guest check. This is more of the Rit dye, kind of a bluish gray color. Some pretty sewing. Left all of the strings. Tea-dye paper. More of the stencil bubbles and the chiffon, ruffled chiffon. Look at this. Isn't that pretty, that tea-dye paper? This must have been made in the summer because it has a really, I would call it a deep toasted color of tea. I must have been able to put this outside because it seemed like those really got a really pretty color. More of the Rit dye with the watermarks and ribbon, ruffled ribbon. It has the green and blue mixed in. A couple more of the stenciled starfish. This piece is, I laminated napkin, stamped it, used some watercolors. Has really good texture. Envelope here, and there's just some tags and writing spots in there. And that is clipped on with a curly Q. I don't think that's the right name, but I don't know what they're called. More tea-dye paper. Did a little bit of stamping on this side. This is a digital. More of the mamagami paper that I ruffled. The map, more distress tape, tea-dyed paper. This is, I think this is actually from an envelope too, junk mail envelope. Just keep going. It says Journey, has a little starfish and a key. Fabric cluster picture there. Starfish and a shell. More writing space. This is digital too. Little fabric tab. Kind of a furry little edging on that. Seahorse. This is tea-dyed envelope. It's glued onto. And in this side of the pocket there is an index card that's been stamped and splatter painted. Just some mixed media on this writing spot. I liked how the coral kind of showed in the window. Again, I'm sure it's not showing up, but this tea dye has a lot of watermarks. It's really pretty. And this is an index card that has napkin collage to it, some stamping, some, I think what I used on this, I think, was the color burst. The cluster. Isn't that pretty? Makes a good writing spot. You can write all of this would be writing. Tea-dyed paper. This is digital as well. Made a book plate, little book board to write on, a writing board, I guess. And this is a digital, has a sail or like a wrecked boat there. And then this side is part of a map. And I just used a jumbo clip to put it on the back. And this cover is made from packaging. The fabric sewn to that. You can see it's blue stitching. Could actually tie a bow, I guess, to use up the ribbon. Like I said, it is, I'm sure it's too long, but I just thought it was pretty and I didn't cut it. I've got a brad enclosure. This is just a hair tie rubber band that I've looped around. So this brad is loose. I didn't glue it down so that you could pull it out as you're book gets thicker, and you can, you know, of course, make it tighter as well on the back. But it is really pretty fabric, kind of striped, mint green, blues, white. The front collage says focus on the good. It's got vintage newspaper, different colors there. And the spine is covered with a navy blue lace. I thought that was really pretty. Has sewing all the way around. Little tassel can be removed. Different kinds of fibers on this. I don't think there's any buttons on this one. Or not buttons, beads. That's what she looks like. But you just, I thought that brad matched well, so you just take it over, loop it, and there she is. Kind of neat closure. So the inside, I did reinforced it with muslin. There's a guest check pocket. This book belongs to, and note from the bookmaker. And I'll put my little Crafted by Christy on this. But I wanted to show you on this, it is a stencil that I used distress inks, and then I kind of went around part of it with watercolor pencils. You can probably see it in the back better. But I tried to use the same colors that were in the cover, the closest that I could get. So the first page is vellum. It's kind of a mint green. Oh, it's not the first. There's an envelope. And it has a little cluster. And some writing spots. It says, set your mind on things above. This is like a scripture card. And this has been embossed. And then we have the mint vellum. Really pretty digital with some ribbon. This has been sewn around. And this is a altered index card with some more of the vintage newspaper. This is actually the index card with the washi tape, and then I sewed it to scrapbook paper that's been tea dyed. Little postcard, The Legend of the Dogwood. This is a digital. I have put a little tab that I stamped. This is actually out of lunch bag, I think, this little tag. Wallpaper. Oh, it's so pretty. It's kind of a pearlescent look to it. I don't know. A little bit of lace tab. And I didn't put anything on this because I thought it would be such good writing. A paper bag with a altered index card that's upside down with some vintage music paper, sticker. This is homemade paper right there, writing on the back. And then a little scrappy notepad, all kinds of paper in this. And lace and a little brad there. More, look at, you could write. I love writing on paper like that. This is a digital lace tab, handmade paper. If you can see the flowers in it. This is like a felt flower. This could have a little charm hanging from that hole. Should do that. There'll be a charm on that. Some kind of teal. This is kind of iridescent too. On tea-dyed paper, sewn both sides. More scrapbook paper, and there are 3 tea-dyed scrapbook papers that I've kind of cut like little file folders. This says, enjoy the little things. I've sewn on some extra writing space. Another digital little scrappy strip there with some writing spots tucked in. Scrapbook paper. Just kind of cut it weird shape. Little tuck there with some mixed media paper. Tea-dyed paper with sewing. A couple more writing spots. Inking. This is grid paper that I tea-dyed. Another altered index card. This is a digital. Lots of crazy sewing in my books. You could use this as a bookmark. It's laminated only on one side. You can write on this side. And this is a little writing spot. The little paper brad at the top. Tea-dyed paper on the back. This digital, I think, is from Alice in Wonderland. This here. Little pocket with another altered index card. I was crazy about those index cards this time, wasn't I? Another digital that looks like a ledger paper. More writing spots. Look how pretty that digital is. I think when I printed this digital, I did it on tea-dyed paper, so it gave it that deeper color. This is some RIT dye paper that's got blues and greens in it. I've sewn around it, and I back this to this beautiful picture. Isn't it pretty? It's a garden. I can just see myself sitting there out in the middle of the woods, and it's peaceful. Water flowing through. This one has blue ribbon. Left the middle long for beads. More digital. Some writing spots. This one was tea dye, I believe. More writing spots. This is a altered envelope. Put a little sticker inside. You could put something there if you wanted to. Little pocket in the back. Has a baby playing card with pattern paper collaged on the back. And a pattern paper, you know, like sewing, like a pattern. Can't think of the right words. And the front is collaged with used coffee filter. Little stamp there. I think these are like the Project Life cards. Oh, Happy Day. And some of the Echo. I don't know how you say it. I know I always say it wrong. Paper, just for writing. More of the tea-dyed grid paper with more writing spots. Pretty sewing. This paper is embossed, but it was sent to me, and it isn't embossed all the way to the edge, and I didn't want to cut it off because I like the saying, kind heart, strong mind, brave spirit. So I just left it. I thought it was really pretty, and I liked the writing spot. More writing paper. Scrapbook paper with ruffle. Crazy sewing on tea-dyed. This is the other half of the odd-shaped scrapbook paper. And this is book page, little magazine cutout, little cluster there, and some tea-dyed, mini tea-dyed tags, little vellum pocket, and writing spot. More digital. Has some of that old newspaper. Pretty little crochet piece sewn on. This is digital. Little stamped piece, little girl sewn onto the edge. This side is a flower. Lots of writing. Another scrappy strip. This is that really old newspaper. Some handmade paper. This is handmade paper. You can see the flowers in it. Another one of the little daisy, felt daisy. Look at it, has a little charm on it. And a little ribbon on a digital. other half of the pretty tea-dyed paper on the backs of those. This is a digital, that's a hard word to say, digital Carrie's Mixed Media Arts. So pretty. It looks like splatter painting. Little guest check that's has a cluster on it. Used coffee filter. And this is address label like that's on your magazines or whatever. More of the wallpaper. Little lace tab. More digital. Cluster here. Some lace and vellum and used coffee filter. More sewing. Another little fabric cluster. This has an enamel dot in the middle. The vellum. The other side of that envelope that's embossed. Writing spot. And then this is made out of packing paper and a paper bag. Writing area, little charm, is a key and a leaf. I mean, I suppose you could use it as a writing board, really. It's stiff enough. The last one that's sellable is this little one. It's a cutie. It has eyelets in the back, so this is removable. And I have put this little charm on it so that when it's closed, the charm kind of hung down like that. But I didn't know if you'd want to mess with taking it off every time or if worry about it falling off. So, pretty little charm. I put a bulldog clip that you could just clip it on there instead if you didn't like it on the sari silk. Let it hang on the front. It says, "No beauty shines brighter than that of a good heart." This is a magazine cutout. It's collaged to book page. Lots of crazy sewing. Some vintage linens. Some gold. I don't know what this... Oh, and there's a little charm here too. Lots of sewing. Some sparkly mesh. That's not the right word. It's kind of bright. It's got lots of things poking out of it. And inside this book belongs to, and the note from the bookmaker. This is book page, little sticker. This is kind of a peach colored vellum. This is used coffee filter collage to music paper. Sewn around, there's a little brad that holds it together. You can open it up, could write in there. And a little vellum pocket. This is a digital little chiffon ruffle. Writ dye paper, and it's kind of a orangey yellow color. Some seam binding sewed on. Napkin collage to music paper. Looks like a hot air balloon. And this is kind of a spiritual little book. It's got a lot of feel-good sayings, and it has a lot of the scripture cards. I am convinced that nothing can separate us from God's love. And this is, don't be afraid, just believe. This is the corrugated packing paper. Orange thread. This opens up scrap pieces that I've sewn on and added to this page. Little envelope. This is a music page that I did some mixed media on. Little writing spot. More writing pieces in the envelope. Pretty scrapbook paper. It's got pink thread. The back of the envelope, you can see the pink really well. Some washi tape that's pink and yellow, kind of like matches the paper. I don't know if this is writ dye or tea dye, but it's got dots. It looks like there must have been a stencil. Very pretty. A little envelope that opens up. Share what makes your soul shine. And inside it says, look for beauty and you will find it all around you. This is a neat little envelope. It seems like it's really old. I got it in a secondhand shop. It came in a bunch of stuff and I thought it was so pretty. That scripture card. Love never gives up. Did some stenciling here. Kind of tried to bring in all the colors of the book. Got purple and yellow and pink ribbon. More tea dye. I think this is distress ink that I've splattered and smushed. It's kind of blue and red and orange and yellow, all kinds of things on music paper. I just think the back almost looks prettier than the front sometimes. A little journaling spot with a pocket, little pieces of ephemera, a brad with some sari silk, clipped on with a little curly cue there, a lace belly band, some of the pink distress tape, sewing. I was trying to see what kind of paper it was. I know it's dyed of some sort. Purple distress tape, handmade paper, it's orange. In this belly band is another altered envelope. Writing spots. This is handmade paper. Very, very pretty handmade paper. It's got a lot of colors in it. I hope they're coming through. Another handmade tag. Tag handmade paper. By Distress Ink, it's kind of a rosy pink, really pretty. Little tab there. Moving ephemera, the back of it is decorated, so you could, if you wanted to glue it down, you could, but the back, like I say, is decorated, so just move it around. Again, the handmade paper. This is a greeting card. Some orange ribbon sewn on. A little washi tape paper clip with a collage on it. Writing spot. Tea-dyed paper. Little book page writing spot. And then this is the writing spot that the pocket is. Paper bag. Has a little scrappy notebook in it. And more writing with a pocket. And this tag has a pocket. Writing area. Some little tags in there. Packing paper that has the napkin collage to it. The hot air balloon. Orange ribbon. Love that. This is a little sari silk and an enamel dot. Pockets on the side of this one. A writing spot. This side has more writing area. Thinner tags. This is thinner scrapbook paper, but it's just, I thought it was pretty. It's tea dyed. It's kind of got a gold shimmer to it. When I tea dyed it, I dropped some of that gold distress ink, little cluster. And this writing spot has pocket behind it. I don't remember what this is back to. Maybe packing. I don't know. But this is a collage napkin, watercolor stamps, and sewn to tea-dyed paper. Sewn on it some extra writing. Flips up, and there's a pocket. This is made from muslin and scrapbook paper. Simple pleasures are life's treasures. More of the scripture cards. This little flower brad can actually be taken off. The other side of the card. Handmade paper. A lot of writing in this one. Other belly band. More of the collage napkin, and I've done some painting. I think this is like watercolor paper. I don't know, something about the hot air balloons and the spiritual, just, it all seems so freeing. More of the music paper. Tea dyed. Ribbon. Another scripture card with some more of the stenciling. Little pocket. The tag that's kind of neat. I don't know what it is. Kind of feels, I don't know, soft, very soft. And some little flowers with enamel dots in the middle. Dyed paper. That corrugated packing paper with another vintage music paper with the hot air balloon napkin or collaged on. More of that paper that I'm not sure what it's back to. It's kind of, I don't know, soft. Writing spot. Some eyelash trim that I've sewed onto the page, both sides, then looped it through the top. Vintage newspaper sticker there. More of the pink thread. This one has orange. And the ruffle. Oh, that digital is so pretty. More of the vellum. More of the book page pockets. Little stickers. An altered index card on this one. And some little pieces of ephemera tucked in the top. I had to make 2 pockets on this one because I had put the closure on before I realized what I was going to put on the back, but I thought that worked out good. Has a little bit of a black tip, and the flowers do too, so it all kind of goes in there together. Alright, so that's all of the sellable books I have ready. This one has a beautiful tassel, lots of beads, paper bead, some really pretty sequined fabric, buttons, collage. I put a book plate that could be, you could write on it whatever you wanted it to be called. Little crochet pieces, ruffles, chiffon. So much happening in this one. I loved it. This is actually 2 layers of fabric. This is very soft. The leaves are kind of like crushed velvet. Has a book plate made from the Mamagami. Looks like leather. And then the back is from a vintage magazine, the Work Basket. Paper clip, or charm, bead, more of the sequins. And here is why I can't sell it. Okay, so this tassel, this book, I don't even know why I did it, but it had a different inside. And this is really pretty. It's got turquoise and yellows. The inside of this book was a different paper. I think it was a digital. And in between the 2 layers of fabric, actually it's 3 layers of fabric, there is cardboard packaging. On top of that was a digital. And for whatever reason, I changed it. I can't remember why. If I didn't like the way, I don't know why I changed it. But I changed it. There's 2 layers of cardboard. 2 layers, 3, 4, 5. There's 6 layers here. So it's very thick. Because of that, when I put my eyelet in for this tassel, it only went through, well, I mean, it went through them all, but it didn't set on the inside as well as I wanted it to. So that was one reason I can't sell it. The other reason is when I glued this on, I don't know how I did it, but I evidently didn't make my paper long enough. So when I opened it, the paper, not the cardboard inside, only the paper, and it has a reinforcement down the middle of it too, but anyway, that paper cracked. See? Again, the cardboard, the cover itself is not cracked. It is so thick. It's not going to break or tear, but I couldn't in good conscience sell this because it's cracked. I don't know, you can see it right there. So that's why it's not going to be sold. It has pretty sewing around it. And if you would like, I can go ahead and show it to you. Maybe you can get some ideas, things to do. This embossed blue vellum. Beautiful. There's a lot of mixed media in this one. It really made me sad that I guess I could sew this signature into something else. For that matter, I thought about putting some black seam binding, reinforcing, gluing it over the top of the crack, but I just felt like that was being kind of deceiving, so I didn't want to do that. Plus, I've already taken this signature out once and sewn it back to this second cover, so I didn't want to sew it a third time to another cover. I've done a lot of mixed media in this book. This page here has a lot of collages and gesso and texture, some distress oxide inks. Beautiful tea-dyed paper, little banner strip, some blue handmade paper, an envelope as a hummingbird. Sewed the flap down and then cut the envelope so there would be two big pieces. And then I stenciled leaves and little flowers. I hope these are like kind of like honeysuckle. I always think of hummingbirds and honeysuckle flowers. And then we have pocket here. And this is mamagami paper, writing on the back. The way this is folded, there's two pockets on each side of this. A mixed media tag. It's been tea-dyed and stenciled and splatter painted. Crazy sewing. This is a digital that's printed on tea-dyed paper. Little pocket with a cellophane bag I've made into a little pocket. A packaging that's been, has scrapbook paper in it. It's collaged, sewn around. I stamped the back for writing. This could also be made into, like, hinged onto a side of a page. Another mixed media page, I've used acrylics, distress inks, done some stamping, used gesso. It's got some really good texture to it. Page has more mixed media. I actually used the watercolor crayons on this page and some collage paper that I had done with drawing paper. It has really good texture on this page as well. Paper bag with some altered index card. You can never have too much happy. And this has a pocket on this side, a little fabric cluster, pocket on this side. And then in the middle, this has 4 pockets in it. Another pocket, pocket here, another fabric cluster, a little hummingbird piece. Some really pretty tags that, oh gosh, you can really see that shimmer spray. Little strip tuck spot here. Has some little doilies in it. Thought would be fun to play around. The colors kind of match what's in here. This is a little cluster, and you open it up and there are scrappy pieces, just different things that I put in here. I thought would be fun to do your own clusters throughout. some of the Mamagami paper, little mixed media tickets, some of that vintage newspaper, just different scrappy pieces, some packing paper that I've tucked in there. And it's just kind of like a little matchbook piece. And that is the end of the I Can't Sell This Book. All right, I hope you liked this video. Hope you maybe got some ideas from this one. If you are interested in anything, I'll put the link to my Etsy shop below. Hopefully, my video usually goes up before the things actually get to my Etsy shop, but hopefully they'll both be up at around the same time. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. I hope that you found some things that would inspire you along the way. Maybe give you some ideas of things to put in your journals. And certainly check out the tutorials on some of these because they're a lot of fun to make your own. And it's very rewarding, I don't know why, to be able to use things that you would normally throw away. I would love for you to subscribe to my channel. If you have any suggestions on things you would like to see, feel free to leave me a comment in the link below. And also let me know what you would do with this unsellable journal. And I will see you next time. Thanks, guys. Bye.